Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Steve Westman, live Audiophile Roundtable. Special show today. Miles Showell, Abbey Road Studios, is in the house. Welcome. I don't do many 11 o'clock in the morning shows, but we're going to be going over to Abbey Road Studios right now, talking to none other than Miles Showell. Hello.
Hi, and I am in the house. This is the house.
This is the house. Where's the pedestrian walk where the Beatles? Is it right out that window?
It's about 10 yards that way.
Here you are.
Out the window. I could try and move my laptop around. I've got a window view here. You can't really see; it's too bright. But that tree, that's in Abbey Road.
Okay.
In the actual road itself, and a bit further over on the right-hand side is the crosswalk, as they'd say in North America, or we would say pedestrian crossing.
Pedestrian cross, yeah.
Or zebra crossing.
Welcome. I was looking back. The last time we were on the show together was, I think it was October of 2023, and we had that technical difficulty, if you recall. We just the show had stopped, and we had to redo it. We did a reboot or a redux. That was
kind of fun. I was sat here on my own drinking tea, and somebody commented, Miles did the most English things, kept calm and drank tea.
Like, what happened to Steve? Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah. So you've been keeping busy, of course. It's been a year and a half. I've got lots of questions for you, and I know a lot, and the viewers have questions for you as well. And I wanted to go back a little bit because, you're a mastering engineer. What drew you to mastering? I mean, how did you get involved in this?
I think I might have mentioned this before, but let's go through it again. My dad used to have a record shop, and we're talking a long time ago now, 1984, when I started. And I'd finished school, gone through what you'd now call year 13. And I was kind of typical 18-year-old at the time, very arrogant, thought I'd had enough of learning stuff, but I couldn't get a job doing anything I was interested in. So I was going to go to technical college to, learn how to fix stuff. But my heart wasn't really in that either. And between finishing school and starting the college, it was August 84, and my dad and we went down the shop and we picked up the trade magazine. In there, at the back pages, was an advert which said, Utopia Studios requires a trainee disc cutter / tape copier. And I kind of read the magazine, then read through it, and I went, oh, that's interesting. And my dad said, what's that? I said, well, there's an advert for a job here in the studio. And he said, well, okay, the phone's over there. Off you go. And I thought, yeah, he's right. I better ring them. So I rung them. Bear in mind, the magazine had only arrived in the post on the mat about an hour before. So we were really fresh. I phoned them up and they said, oh, you're the first person to ring. And it's like a light bulb went off in my head. And I thought, okay, I've got to try and be the first person they interview. So that was there the next morning for my interview. There were 48 people applied for the job, because obviously this is way, way before the internet. So there weren't that many people applying. Went from 48 straight down to 4. They interviewed the 4 of us again. It went from 4 to 2. And the 2 people who employed me, they spent several days arguing as to who was going to get the job. In the end, they couldn't decide, so they tossed a coin. So heads, it comes down, it's Miles. Tails, it's the other person. It came down heads. So I'm talking to you now, 40 and a bit years later, because a coin came down heads.
50% probability, and you did it.
Yeah, it's all about lucky. So there you go. Yeah, that's how I started. I definitely did not want to work in an actual studio doing recording, because I knew it was crazy hours and I just didn't fancy that. But I kind of rightly assumed that in cutting and mastering, it would be not, long days now and again, but not quite so ridiculous. And so I kind of very fortunately fell into my thing. Really, I found it.
Well, you're at Abbey Road Studios now. I mean, the folks probably may or may not know your contract with Abbey Road. You're not an employee of Abbey Road. There's a difference there.
Yeah, there are quite a few of the engineers. Most of the engineers here are staff, but there's about 4 or 5 of us who are freelance. So we kind of have a joint venture with Abbey Road, and it's our job to pull in work that wouldn't have come here anyway. So that's what I do. But it's good for me because it allows me certain freedoms. I can acquire my own equipment and use that in the studio. I don't have to use Abbey Road's equipment. So, for example, the lathe that you can see behind me just there, The lathe is mine. Quite a few of the equalizers in the desk is mine. There's a tube compressor behind me, a gold thing there. That's mine. So as long as my equipment meets Abbey Road standard, and I wouldn't want to be lower than their standard anyway, then I'm free to use it. So, and I'm not constrained by budgets and capital expenditure allowances. If I feel I need something and I want to get it and I can afford it, I go and get it.
So the big news, I know a lot of viewers were asking me. I mean, obviously we know you're digital cut your records, but you have a new little friend on the left side of you, a little Ampex ATR102 that at some point you'd be able to do a full analog cut.
That's coming. Yeah, that's a work in progress.
Okay.
Right now, I can swing the chair around because my laptop's on a chair. That's an Ampex ATR102. That's actually Abbey Road's machine, and
okay.
that's formerly owned by Olympic Studios. I've acquired my own machine, which I bought from the band Genesis when they shut their studio.
Oh wow!
So it's got good heritage. It's Genesis's machine. I'm having that modified, so that will be able to do all analog. And there are very, very few of those in the world, because when Ampex made those machines, when they launched them back in the late 70s, if you wanted to have one in a disc mastering room, you had to buy the optional extra digital delay. They never were available with an analog loop, because the tape has to go through a big loop before it hits the main playhead, which goes to the lathe. So Sterling Sound have two machines they've had modified to do that. There's another one elsewhere. I'm not quite sure whether that's working or not. Mine will be the fourth one, but I'm doing some other funky things with it, which I can't talk about right now, but it's currently off being restored. So the machine you're seeing here, to answer Tubelandia's question, that's Abbey Road's machine. That will stay as a stock Ampex machine. Mine will be really funky, have lots of extra things added to it,
including the preview head, I guess is what he's asking.
The preview head, that will have the preview head plus some really clever things happening with the amplifiers, which will make it unique. But it's not ready yet, so I don't want to go on about it, because these things take time. Nobody makes this stuff anymore. It's getting stuff specially built and made that's good enough is tricky, but we're getting close.
So at some point we're going to do a Miles Showell AAA cuts, it sounds like.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
That's on the cards. Yeah. Getting hold of master tapes is going to be the next problem, because that's getting increasingly difficult, and it's costing me a lot of money to get the machine made. I may not even recoup what it costs me to get it modified and what the machine cost. But if you're serious about doing this thing, this job that I do, then you have to have serious gear. So
well, you were mentioning that too, right? Because I mean, you're trying to find new business. That's part of what you're doing. So now you can offer a full AAA mastering to some of your clientele.
I mean, I've done a couple before, but what I do is I run upstairs. I use Sean McGee's room, because his machine is his room set up for that. And there's no point in me getting a Studer tape machine and doing it the way Sean does it, because that's the same as something that's already here. I've got to be different. So that's why I'm going for an Ampex machine, which is my vastly preferred machine. I much prefer the sound of an Ampex over a Studer.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because Michael T. just look at here, Mastering Lab, which is Doug Sachs, had an Ampex ATR with a preview head as well. Which
I think that didn't that go to Analog
Productions in Kansas, and then,
So they've got it, yeah. So that's the third one. So mine would be the fourth. There was a prototype that Ampex made right back in the launch days in the 70s, which never went anywhere, and as far as I know, got destroyed. So there will be 4 in the world, unless somebody else is mad enough to have a go at it as well.
I already want to take some questions, because Winston O. Boogie here is, Miles, is there any album you'd love to AAA master above all others?
Yeah, there is. The German tape for Magical Mystery Tour.
So the Horizu.
Yeah, the Horizu pressing.
Horizu?
Apparently, that's how you pronounce it.
I have it. I have it.
I have it too.
True stereo.
It's astoundingly good.
Mm-hmm.
And I know where the tape is, and maybe one day, who knows, But that wouldn't be a decision for me. That would be a decision for Apple and Universal and a load of other people.
I will tell you, if you could cut that AAA, yeah, and I think there's a huge market for that one, because we talk about the Horizu Magical Mystery Tour a lot on my show, and we have throughout the years, and you get a lot of forum posts and that talking about it. So what makes that Magical Mystery Tour sound so good? Is it the tape that they used for it, or what was the process there? Because I mean, obviously, no, it's the true stereo, wasn't any fold downs or anything like that, so that was a difference there. What makes that so magical, if you don't mind my using that pun?
Magical Mystery tape. I think it's just a good tape. I mean, obviously, I don't know the condition of the tape. You know, the Beatles tapes do not come out of the vault very often.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it's in good condition. All of the German tapes are now back in London. So
and then they were at Abbey Road as well.
There's a chance. Can't answer that question. Read into that whatever you like.
I'm going to read into that.
So, okay. I mean, I don't know that much about the Beatles vault. I did actually see it. I'm going to just get rid of my tea bag. Excuse me. I did stick my head round the door. I wasn't allowed in. No one's allowed in there other than the two people that know the passcode to the pin number.
So who are the two people that know? Who are the two people that are allowed?
One of them is Giles.
Okay.
Giles has the pass, and a chap called Matthew Cocker, who's a tape archive guy. He knows it. He was returning some stuff, and I said, "Can I have a quick look?" He said, "Well, not really, but go on." So I just stuck my head round the door, and it was interesting. I mean, it's lots. You know, you see archive when they have those wheels to move the things across. So it's lots of rows of that, and there's way more tapes than you would imagine could be in there. I mean, it's a lot of tape in there.
How big of a vault? How big of a vault is it?
Big.
I mean, what's the size? Example. Like square footage.
Good question. Probably about half the size of the room I'm in now.
And how big is your room? How many square feet is that?
Asking me. I don't know. It's big enough to hold all the tapes, but not a lot more. So,
and all climate controlled and everything like that.
Yeah. All that's all in there. Yeah.
Hang on, Too Blandy has a question here. Miles, do you remember the tape condition of the first 4 Brian Eno vocal albums? The half speeds you did at 45 RPM were a great release.
Generally pretty good. Yeah, not the ambient ones. I'm guessing he means the vocal albums. Yeah, they were pretty good, which is interesting because some of those EG tapes were a bit battered, but the first 4 Brian Eno albums were good. Yeah. So that's the problem now. You're getting a lot of this tape is getting a bit fragile and delicate. I did an album recently for a record label, Audiophile label in the UK, of a classic British jazz album, and we had some problems with the tape. I mean, we got it to run. There were some tiny bits of damage on the edge of the tape, not affecting where the magnetic information is, but just a little bit on the top. And tiny shards of oxide were falling off and clogging the heads. So persuading it to play was tricky. There you go. Analog October Records. That will be the UK label we're talking about.
Hi, Craig. Yeah, I can put my hand on my heart and tell you from personal experience, and attending sessions with Miles at AR, Abbey Road, should be on everyone's bucket list. There you are, Miles.
Yeah, he's a very nice chap. And he's one of those few people in this business. He loves music. So a lot of
you got to be passionate about it, right?
Yeah, well, he really is. And he won't do something unless he can do the best version ever. Very much cares, and will go through test pressing after test pressing until he's 200% sure it's as good as it can be.
Too Blandy is like, thanks for the info on the Brian Eno. Did you say the ambient ones were problematic?
Most of them were okay. What's the famous one? Oh, God, it's a few years ago now. So 6 years ago I did those. Brain fade. One of the tapes, the masters were missing, and there was a copy, and the copy wasn't in good shape either. It was fairly, it'd been played on a Revox or something, it'd been damaged. So, but I was able to correct the worst of the problems with some, restoration software and clean it up as best I could. And that's part of the thing you have to do now. It's not just a case of running the tape. I wish it was, this tape is getting old. Some people have had it before me and not looked after it properly. Just, accidents happen.
Music for airports.
Not music for airports. No, the other one. Got the word green in the title, but I can't think of
I love Eric. The Beatles vault must be like going into Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
Yeah, because no one's allowed in there. So I probably shouldn't have mentioned. I'll get Matthew into trouble for letting me in, but it was a few years ago now. So
there's no way we can
change the PIN number.
There's no way there's going to be a golden ticket in any of those Abbey Road records that gets us into the vault. You get 5 golden tickets.
Well, that might be an amazing marketing idea. I will send that up the line to the people at Apple and say, hey, how about
5 golden tickets?
Another Green World
record.
Thank you, Mazzy. Yeah, he's right. Yeah.
Mazzy, thank you. Another Green World.
Yes, he's right. Thank you. Yeah, that's a good idea. The golden ticket. Maybe Apple could do that.
I like it.
Yeah. Well, I'll make sure you get the credit for that.
Thank you.
I'll let them know. Whether they do anything, who knows?
There you go.
But, okay.
That's one thing about, we've heard about, Miles Showell, half speed, digital, et cetera, but sometimes you're not given the greatest source to work with. I mean, you're given a source or a file and you work with that file. I mean, it's not going to be up to you. You're working with what you're given, correct? On a lot of things.
Yeah. And sometimes, ideally you want to get the original tape, but if the original tape is worn out or damaged, then sometimes a copy is a better thing. I did do a Phil Collins album once, which was Hello, I Must Be Going. And we actually found the best tape was marked Do Not Use. Right. And it's because they ran 2 machines at the same time. So it went to 2 different tape machines. And at the 11th hour, they changed the running order. So only the master had it re-edited in the correct order. The tape marked Do Not Use was perfectly fine. Just the tracks are around the wrong way. So it's like, well, this has been unplayed. This sounds amazing. We'll use this one and just rearrange it. So there's that. But sometimes you get albums. I've had albums, about baking tape, this Ampex tape from the 70s, late 70s, 80s and 90s until the end of the tape era. American tape wasn't good. Sounded great at the time. In the late 80s and 90s, I used thousands and thousands of reels of tape. It sounded fantastic, new. Stick it on the shelf for 30 years, it just doesn't work again. It just goes sticky. You have to dehydrate it in an oven, bake it for it depends. The older the tapes are getting, the longer you have to bake them, but normally it's about 48 hours. But each time you bake it, you're damaging the tape. It doesn't do it any good. It's just less bad than trying to play it when it's falling apart. So but after about 7 bakes, the tape goes unstable and the oxide falls off and it doesn't work. And I've had major masters tapes from major acts where the tapes have been baked beyond playability. So then you start thinking, okay, we can't run this tape. It just doesn't play. There's huge holes in it. What's the next best source? And one of the albums I did, I won't say who it's for, but the record label said, we really want to capture everything at 192 kilohertz because it's the best. It's like, okay, whatever you want. But you can't because the tape's gone. But it says here there's a 96 kilohertz copy that was made. Can you find that? I said, yeah, but it's not 192. I said, well, you don't have a master. So let's go with 96 because that's good. And that was actually, it sounded fantastic. So we went with that. So we had to do that, but that was a digital thing. And that was recorded onto an MO disc and a optical drive. So we had to find a working machine to recover that because it's obsolete. So it's getting trickier and trickier. In fact, the most at-risk stuff is the end of the analog tape era and early digital. Like DAC cassettes. Do you remember those? DATs?
Yes.
There are more DAC cassettes in the world with stuff on them than there is life left in all the heads of the machines that still work.
Repeat that again. Repeat that, what you just said. That's interesting.
There are more DAC cassettes in the world with program and stuff on them than there is life left in the heads of the working DAT machines. So we're not going to recover everything that's on DAT.
No.
So yeah, I've had, real problems trying to recover things from old digital, and I'm fortunate that literally when I started my job, digital was just really becoming a big thing. So I've kind of worked with all of these formats since they were new. So I know a lot of the tricks that you can bring in to kind of persuade stuff that won't work to work. Had that with an Alan Parsons album. One of the albums wouldn't play, and managed to. It took about 4 of us all fighting the machine at the same time, but we got it to run. So now we've managed to get an archive transfer made off the master. So it's preserved, whereas otherwise we'd have to work from an analog copy that was good, but you want to work from the original if you can. But sometimes the best tape isn't the master. I'm sure we've all heard records. This is cut from the master. I won't name anybody's record, but I bought some, and you're thinking this is awful. It's just this tape is just gone. As it's a myth that all the tapes are in perfect condition and beautifully stored. Lots of stuff's mislabeled, misfiled, so it's hard to find it. And when you do find it, it might be in a really bad shape. Lots of tapes have just been run and are just tired. So it's an ongoing problem. But that's what I'm here for, to try and work out the very best possible source we can get our hands on.
Here's a question, Ivan Music Man. Tell us about the recent Pink Floyd live record.
Oh, the live at Pompeii. Well, I didn't master that. That was mixed and mastered by Stephen Wilson, and he does his own mastering. I've cut quite a few records for Stephen, and he did the remix from the original tapes. It's good stuff. I mean, I'd only ever seen the film, from 1971. It's never been out, I don't think, on a physical format until now. So Stephen sent me the files. It was high resolution, 96 kilohertz, 24-bit. I did a little bit of de-essing here and there, and then I cut it. It's cut half speed on the machine just over my shoulder there on that lathe. So not much to say other than it's a bloody good record.
Yeah.
Have you heard
it? Question about that. So working with Stephen Wilson, you would have sent him the test pressings. Did he have any feedback for you, changing this or that? It was a pretty simple process.
Yeah, we had to change a couple of things. He just wanted to make a couple of suggestions. So he had the test pressing and said, "Can you redo it and just do this little thing?" So I did that, and that was done. But he's pretty trusting of what I do. But ultimately, it's Pink Floyd's record. But he's, as the mix engineer, has a big say in it. So if he wants something done, then I'm going to do it.
Would Pink Floyd have had a say in that record as well?
I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've done solo projects for both Nick and also David. So they're still, although they don't own the catalogue anymore, they're still pretty hands-on. They're going to want to hear it and make sure it's good. And they're also very particular about which pressing plants press their records.
Do you personally work with some of those pressing plants? I mean, obviously Optimal or GZ, like, are you involved in that process as well from a mastering engineer?
I know them all. Yeah. I mean, I know the people there and I visit them quite regularly. I was in, as you would say, GZ about a month ago.
Well, you were getting a tour when we were texting back and forth. They're like, "Steve, I got to go. I got this tour." That was about a month ago or so. Yeah.
It's about the 4th time I've been there. But people criticize them a lot, but they really are trying hard and they've really invested so much money. And when I first went there, was 9 years ago. The place was a bit of a dump. Everything was in an old building. They're using really old gear. That's all gone now. It's all in the new building. They've got, I think, 64 presses running. They're all brand new presses, or being built to their spec. They've got the world's only fully automated picture disc making thing, where it does everything on it. That takes the 5 elements you need to make a picture disc automatically. Everybody else does it by hand. And the main reason why I went there was because they've built their own lathe.
Wow.
So I wanted to see that. It's all hush hush. They would not let me take pictures of it. But yeah, they have it's DMM at the moment only. Whether they ever make one that does lacquers, I don't know. But it's they're clever people and they're trying really hard. So So I'm friendly with them. I'm very friendly with Record Industry in Haarlem in the Netherlands. They're really good. That's actually one of my absolute favorite plants at the moment. They're doing some fantastic stuff. I had to recently recut the Best of Sade, and they sent me the test pressings, and I was listening to them, and I was listening to it at home, and I actually forgot I was playing the record. I was like, what's that clunk noise? It's the run out groove. It's finished. Not a noise, not one tick, not one, nothing. Silent, absolutely incredible. So I sent them an email saying, look, you're going to hear from Sony that it's approved, but I've got to say it's absolutely stunning. You did a fantastic job, so well done. Because people are all too quick to criticize when things go wrong. Very few people will actually sort of say, yeah, well done, that's really great, because it sounds like it should sound. So it's not that's the thing in engineering. If you're mastering, if you do your job properly, no one notices it because it sounds like a record.
I want to talk about this. Christopher's asking about the Cure 2 disc 333. You sent me the test pressings. I also have the American one that was cut by Bernie Grundman but not mastered by Bernie Grundman, and I've heard both. I don't need you to answer this, but I will tell the folks as well. From what I'm hearing, your cut, it's more open, has more space, more defined instruments, and in my ears, and this is not just because you're on the show, does sound better than the American version. Well,
that's very nice to hear. Thanks. I've not heard the American version either. It's a bit of a strange one, that album. You'd have to ask the record label why it happened.
Okay.
They're in the stereo. I'm not going to talk about the Atmos mix because that's different entirely. But in the stereo realm, there are 3 distinct mastering sessions for that album. So there's the one I did for my vinyl there, which has got no limiting on it at all. There's a one that Brian Lucy.
Let me stop you right there.
Bernie Grundman cut.
Let me stop you right there. So when you say, tell the folks, describe the no limiting, because I think that's a big thing.
Well, that's I don't know. Was it Brian Lucy that cut the American?
It was, yes, it was. Yeah, he mastered it. Bernie cut it. Yeah.
So I don't know whether he did limiting or not. He may well have done. I can't speak for that. I've not even heard that version. But there's his version, there's my version. But yeah, no limiting is basically, that's the loudness wars. That's the kind of false level gain you put in. Effectively, you raise the level up, and any big peaks that are over 0, it's like a game of whack-a-mole. You push them all down, and it just sounds mushy and nasty. When I'm doing mastering for a half-speed cut or any cut, I will do a version with no limiting whatsoever, because digital audio that peaks to 0 is already too loud to cut. I've got to turn it down to get it on the disc. So it's fruitless to make it even louder to turn it down further. What's the point of that? You've got all the artifacts of the compression and limiting, the mushy drums and the distortion and just the horribleness of it, and none of the gain, because it's not loud. So it's got to be turned down more. So the version I cut for the Cure was non-limited from my mastered audio. Brian Lucy did a version which Bernie Grundman cut, which I think that's light grey vinyl as well, I seem to recall.
I just have the black one.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And then in the digital world, another mastering house in London did that version. And I've not heard that one either. People I know who have heard it just say it's a bit loud, but I haven't heard it, so I don't want to comment. So.
Well, what makes sure is great being on 2 discs, right? I mean, there's a lot of music on those on that album, so just to have it at 33 RPM, I think it's over. What's the running time on that? Over 50 minutes, I want to say, on that record. I mean, it's a lot.
I did 2 versions. I did a real time 1 disc and a double half speed. So there is a 1 disc that I've cut as well. It's very long. Side 2's about 27 minutes. And loud right to the end. So it's not easy to cut that.
Having it on 2 LPs. I mean, obviously, as a mastering engineer, intergroove distortion, you don't have to worry about either, right? That's a big thing.
Yeah. It's definitely better because people look at the records and they sort of say, oh, but you didn't use up the whole of the space. It's like, you don't want to use the whole disc. You want a big bit of dead wax if you can, because the velocity is dropping the heavy revolution. It's getting slower and slower. It's getting smaller. And with analog sound carriers, you need to have it running as fast as possible to get the best quality. So if you can finish earlier and have a bigger dead wax area or run out groove, as we'd say in the UK, then you're going to have better quality. But with an album that's 27 minutes long on one side, you have no choice but to go right into the middle.
Did you make the choice to do it 2LP, or is that the
No,
label?
that was record label. They wanted to do that edition. They wanted to do a kind of deluxe super version, so they did that. And then there's a regular 1LP version for the people who just want the normal version.
I'm a big Cure fan, and I know that record. Robert Smith's voice sounds exactly the same from it did in the 80s. The guy hasn't lost anything on his voice. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and I don't know whether you've seen the live concert on the day of the launch of the album.
I did, yes, of course.
I was at that gig. He very kindly sent me a free ticket. And I'm there with a colleague, in fact, my colleague Ollie, who did the Atmos mix, mastering. And, the first song alone, it's got like a 2-minute intro. Then Robert comes in and he starts singing it. And it's exactly the same as the record. And I just looked at him, he looked at me, and we both went, wow, because his voice, incredible. Yeah. He's a great guy. And he sent me a gold disc for that, which was really kind. I dropped him an email saying, wow, Robert, I thought I just got more test pressings to check. And I opened the pack and it's a gold disc. Thank you so much. And he got back and just said, you earned that. So well done to you. So, yeah, he's a really, really nice man. And it's an astoundingly good record. And we did not deserve to get a record as good as that. But I'm glad he made it.
Here's a question. Is the main album 2LP master, the new Brothers in Arms 40th, the same as the 2021 half-speed master?
Yeah, but it's cut real time.
So the 40th anniversary is cut real time.
Yeah, 40th, because there's 5 albums in the 40th. I've got a copy here. They sent me one. That one. That's the. I'm trying to do that without getting a reflection. There you go. And that's got 5 LPs. So LPs 1 and 2 are Brothers in Arms, the studio version, and then there's the live in San Antonio 1985 concert on LPs 3, 4 and 5 in that set. So yes, the same mastering, but it's cut real time, not half speed. So it was the record label's choice, not mine.
I was going to ask you that. So a lot of the times the record label say, Miles, I want it half speed or we want it real time. I mean, is it your choice or the label's choice most times with that?
It's their choice. They're paying the bill, so half speed's more expensive, and they wanted to do just a regular version. Ultimately, I think they want to try. I mean, 5 LPs in a box is not going to be cheap, so they want to try to not make it too high of cost, I guess, at the dealer. So I don't know. I don't choose my work. People say, "Why don't you master this album?" So, well, I can't just ring up Warner's and say, "Can you send me the masters for whatever, Graceland by Paul Simon or something?" It's not going to happen. People choose me, so I do all sorts of stuff. Some of it I love, some of it is not so good. But it's I have no say in what I do or how I do it. I can suggest things, and now and again I'll work with somebody and I say, "Look, this would really benefit from being done half speed. Do you have the budget for it?" And if they do, they will. So.
Well, I already like your idea of the full analog Horizu Magical Mystery Tour cut by Miles Showell and mastered.
Well, that would be nice if the tape's in good shape. Yeah.
We got to put it out there though, Miles. I mean, that would be a big one.
Yeah, I'll have a word with Apple. Maybe that's the one that has the golden ticket in it.
We need the golden tickets in that one. Get a free tour of the
tour of Abbey Road. And,
my God.
Yeah. Trouble is that they would probably show, it'd be like I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. That joke you have with the spies. So we could show you the Beatles, then we'd have to kill you. Be a bit of a shame.
Some people would take you up on that. I got to see it. Okay, fine. Michael T saw that you also cut half speed of Making Movies recently. He's asking what the source was for that Dire Straits record.
Okay. It was the tapes that Universal hold in the UK vault, which I think were the same tapes that Mobile Fidelity used. One side is a safety copy, and one side is a master. I forget which way round that is.
Yeah.
I think it might be side A is the master and side B is the safety. It might be reversed. I'm not sure. It's just, again, there are albums where there are tapes missing in action, and I guess this is one of them. It's probably somewhere on the shelf somewhere, but nobody quite knows. So,
someone's saying, "Don't touch the Horizu." No, I think it would be fun. Why not?
Well, it's worth a lot of money. He's probably got several copies he's stashing. It's getting expensive now. So that's one thing. That's one thing that might make Apple want to release it. They don't like stuff.
Well, look at that.
There you go. Yeah, I can believe that. It's getting expensive. Apple don't like the Beatles being particularly expensive. They don't. They don't like the flippers in the Discogs market. Probably they don't. They're not. They don't. They want to feel that the Beatles is for everyone. Side A of making movies is a safety copy, according to MoFi. Thank you. Yep. Thank you, small person Rue. There you go. Well, I had the same source. Because I was actually in the building when Mobile Fidelity were here making the DSD transfers from those tapes. So that's how I knew what tapes were around. And then when I got to do it, that's what I called it up. I said, look, do you have the missing other tape? They said, no, this is the best we have. Did MoFi come with their own equipment to DSD it? Yeah. They fly the tape machine across. They're modified. They're Tim de Paravicini modified Studer. And their own converters, and they sat here. They did all that. Someone's saying not in this room, but spatial dynamic surround sound. The world needs an analog remaster of the original Strawberry Fields Forever stereo mix. Yeah, I can get on board that one. I'll go for that. Maybe one day. Don't hold your breath, but let's see. We're counting on you now. Yeah, it's not my decision. Well, they might go with somebody else and do it all analog. Who knows? They might fly it out to Bernie and do it. God knows. They don't like flying tapes across the world though these days. So it's unlikely, but you never say never in this business. Easy now, 27 miles. Favorite LP as a youngster? Sgt. Pepper. What version? Original, mono, UK? No, I didn't know the difference. When I was 7, nobody wanted to listen to mono in the early 70s. That was gone. It's probably deleted by then. You can only get stereo. And my parents both had 8-track cartridge players in their cars, and we lived in the middle of nowhere. And to drive anywhere, even to go to the supermarket to get some shopping, was a 20-minute drive there and 20 minutes back. So you'd get to hear an album across both legs of the journey, minimum, wherever you were going. And I was always getting them to play either Elton John's greatest hits or Sgt. Pepper. And then when I was about 7, I got chicken pox. I was really ill with it. And my dad, when I recovered, he said, you've been so brave, I'm going to let you have an LP for free. And he never gave me albums. He'd give me singles. But, albums are expensive. So he didn't, but he let me have one. And he said, what do you want? And I said, well, I want Sgt. Pepper. He said, what do you want to listen to that for? You can hear it whenever you want in the car. Don't you want the Osmonds or something, And I said, but I can't play it at home because we didn't have an 8-track player in the house. We just had record players. So he said, fair enough. So I got that album. That's one of the first albums I ever had. And that I chose that I had. And I still got it. It was 73. I got that, and it was a French EMI pressing. For some reason, the EMI was sending out French ones. So, isn't your holy grail Sgt. Pepper Nimbus? Don't you own the Nimbus cut? Yeah, I own that, but I bought that obviously years later. I got the Nimbus one. Was it 81 that came out? Yeah. Would that be your go-to Sgt. Pepper, the Nimbus cut? I mean, those are going for about $3,000, aren't they? Yeah, they're really good. Unfortunately, my copy is suffering from some off-gassing damage. It sounds fine. When you have it in a PVC sleeve, we didn't know in those days that PVC sleeves are bad for your albums. And so it's got a kind of bloom over the vinyl. It sounds fine. There's nothing wrong with it. You can play it. It sounds amazing. But it's doesn't look great, so it's not worth as much as a completely mint copy. I got that in 81. That's really good. I do like that a lot. I actually like Giles's mix that he did for the 50th anniversary in 2017, which I was so lucky to be able to master. But when Nimbus had that record cut, they cut it in 1980 when the tape, and they got the master. The tape was only 13 years old then, so it was
fresh,
really pretty good. Yeah, well, much fresher than it is now. So it's good. So I've just seen the question here. Do I like the Nimbus Supercut LPs? Yes, I do. Best version: Sgt. Pepper, Wish You Were Here, or Band on the Run. I not actually heard Band on the Run. When I bought Sgt. Pepper, I bought Wish You Were Here, and I also bought Kind of Blue for my dad because he loves Kind of Blue, Miles Davis. And I ordered a copy of Band on the Run, but they didn't send it. They sent 2 Kind of Blues. But I said, oh, never mind, I'll keep this anyway. So I've not heard the Nimbus Band on the Run, so I can't comment on that. But they were good, They're very clean signal path, beautiful pressings, and amazing vinyl. It's a shame that's all gone because they were really good.
Christopher's asking you, Miles Davis album.
Yeah, Kind of Blues up there, but everyone knows that. Quite like Milestones as well. That's good. I'm more into the earlier stuff, and obviously Porgy and Bess is astoundingly good with the Gil Evans Orchestra. Despite all the flaws in the recording, it's such a great music's so good in that record. So yeah.
Analog 33 loves your stuff. Haven't heard a bad record with Miles's name on it. There you go.
Thank you very much. That's nice to hear.
Michael T's asking, you might know this, lathes and tape machines. What did Nimbus use?
Yeah, they had a VMS 70, which is the lathe that was around before the one I've got, and I would assume a Studer tape machine. Don't know for sure. Probably an A80, but don't know. But the real thing was they were really good at the metalwork processing to make the stampers that go in the press, and they had amazingly super quiet vinyl. They went to a UK chemical company at the time called ICI and got them to tweak the mix of.
It's almost a special compound just for Nimbus.
Yeah. Probably a compound you can't use these days. But
environmental issues, lead.
I guess, probably had quite a bit of lead in it, So, but those records sound great, really great.
Maddie's asking, he's saying this. I have both versions of the Cure record, and both have so much distortion. I can't make it through a few songs without turning them off. Is this intended? He goes late to the.
Has he got both 1 LP versions, or has he got the half speed double 45? The problem is it's a really long record, so it's really hard. You have to use up all of the space on the disc, and it's loud guitars and vocals. Maybe how can I say this politely? It might be, I don't know what cartridge you got. Maybe you got a slight problem with your stylus or your cartridge. A good cartridge with a good stylus should be able to play them.
Echo vinyl on those Cure as well. Maybe that's an issue.
Didn't know that. Could be. I don't know. I've only heard the test pressings for the 1 LP version. I've never heard the finished copies. I got them to play fine. I even played it on my daughter's turntable, and she's got my old one, so it's not rubbish. It's a Reox linear tracker, decent but not amazing, which has got an Audiophile cartridge in it. Nothing super expensive, just okay. That played the 1 LP version of the Cure off the test pressing fine.
I like this here. The Horizu A1B1 of Sgt. Pepper sounds much better than the Nimbus. More separation.
Oh, well, there you go.
Okay.
Certainly, German EMI were very good with looking after the tapes, so I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Horizu was a TV listings magazine, like TV Guide, and quite why they had some deal with EMI to get their branding on the records is beyond me, but they did. So, they took care. Nobody Audiophile bronze on a Project Carbon. Yeah, that should be okay. Maybe you've got slight vertical tracking angle error. I'm trying to guess here. It's difficult to know. You can be 1 degree out either way, and you can get more distortion. So, get a protractor out and have a little tweak would be my advice.
I love this question here, and I know you and I have, but we've talked about this one before. So we know last November the U.S. Beatles Capitol Mono box came out, or all your thoughts on that? Because I think you got to, as someone from London, from the UK, you wouldn't have been familiar with the Beatles Capitol stuff at all. You would just have the normal UK release. So for someone in the UK, probably a non-event.
Yeah, I mean, it's available here, and I was promised that they would send me a box, but never got it. So it'll probably come one day. I'd like to hear Meet the Beatles, because that's the album that really exploded in America. And it's different, obviously, in Canada, because Capitol put them out fairly early on. Capitol didn't have the problem of Dave Dexter Jr. saying we don't like this stuff. So Capitol in Canada, that is. So the American, but Meet the Beatles in America was the one that, had I Want to Hold Your Hand on it, and that's the album that really kind of got things moving for them. So I'd like to hear that, if only to hear what they heard, because they're very, very different versions. I know that George Martin wasn't a great fan of what was done to the recordings, but it worked in America. They sold a lot of records, let's be honest. Millions and millions of albums were sold, so they can't be terrible, can they? And people have said nice things about these new versions, so I'm sure.
But I also think if they just left it the same as the UK, they would have sold as many records as well. But hindsight is what it is.
Yeah, it's not authentic though, is it? People, if you've grown up and you're used to that Capitol kind of tweaked sound,
which we are in North America, which is completely different than what.
Yeah, completely different to the tapes. But if you're used to that and you want that experience, it's only fair that you should be able to get it. So I don't have a problem with that being available at all. It's like Apple say, the Beatles should be for everybody. And if you're used to hearing that 1964, 1965, 1966 sound that they had, then yeah, why should it not be available?
I think this Horizu thing here, Miles, this is a big thing for everyone.
Up.
I think you started something now. There's going to be new forum posts on this one. But yeah.
Well, somebody asked a question, what would I want to do? And that would be, I'd love to do that.
Well, with the golden ticket to visit the vault at Abbey Road, it's going to be great. Yeah, Miles, the half speed of the Who's Next says it was mastered by someone else and cut by you. Did you master the most recent non-half speed cut?
No, I just cut those. I don't master the Who. They're mastered by John Astley, who's long-term mastering engineer for the Who. He sends me the audio. I do what little nips and tucks I need to do for half-speed cutting, which is basically de-essing, which takes hours and hours and hours, but I do it because I want it to be the best it can be. And then I cut it. So I get what I'm given on those ones. I don't have any say in the sound.
Ask about working in Wagner's ring cycle, please.
Wagner. Oh, yeah. That was an epic session. Crikey, that's 3 years ago now. I was working on those. Yeah, I think it's 26 album set released.
It's a marathon.
Tell me, yeah, a marathon of opera at half speed. Can you imagine? Orchestral music, no music sounds good at half speed. In fact, we're going to play a game of half speed bingo soon. But nothing sounds good at half speed. Orchestral music's not too bad because it's effectively an octave down. But then the sopranos come in and it's woo, 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 for hours and hours and hours. I think the longest day I had cutting those albums, and it was sort of 5 marathon sessions. I think I did 16 hours of it non-stop. And it was hard. But I didn't do that. Again, did not master that. That was mastered by some former Decca engineers. The tapes were recovered at British Grove Studios. That's Mark Knopfler's Dire Straits studio. That because there's some ex-Decca people there. They've got a really nice tape machine. In fact, it's an Ampex ATR102, and they got the tapes transferred. A couple of tapes had some damage, so they had to go to copies for a few bits to edit them in. And then they did the mastering and sent it to me as high-res files, and all I did was I took out the NESs, and between us watching this stream, they were recorded in a big hall in Vienna, and you could hear diesel trucks driving past. I could hear them. And I took out where it wasn't going to affect anything, where there was just like high strings playing or soprano singing. I took out the sound of the diesel trucks going past, and I didn't actually tell anybody at Decca, because I thought if I do that, they're going to have to get 15 people to sign it off, and it's too much trouble. So my gift to the vinyl fans of that set was that they are without the diesel noises. You have to have very big speakers and listen quite loud to hear it, but it's there. But it's not there on the LPs.
Jeremy's asking, we were talking about this before we got on, thoughts on direct-to-disc cutting. Any favorite examples?
Yeah.
I know.
Funny you should ask.
I know. You showed me just before we got on. This is great.
This one.
What are we
looking
looking
at?
at?
What an album this is.
Tell us what we're looking at.
Thelma Houston Pressure Cooker. It's basically the top studio musicians in LA in whenever this was, 70. Let's see the date on there. There's no year on it, of course. Anyway, it's probably about 75, 76, and Thelma Houston. And when you cut an album, you can't cut song 1, go and have a break, cut song 2. It's one continual spiral from the outside edge into the middle. So the whole band and the engineer mixing it and the mastering engineer, which in this case was Doug Sachs, they had to get it right. Nobody can make a mistake. Any one person makes a mistake, it's trashed. You've got to start again from the beginning, retake it. So you can kind of feel the anxiety in the band, especially by the end of the song. It's like, oh, no one screwed it up and we're on song 4, and it's the sound of it's incredible. Bill Schnee was the engineer, amazing engineer, still working in LA, fantastic engineer. As I said, Doug Sachs did the cutting. He ran 2 lathes simultaneously on that. There's a set of lacquers went to the pressing plant in the US, and a second set went to Germany. If you can get the German pressing, that is the one to get. So it's Sheffield Laboratories. I Got the Music in Me, Pressure Cooker, Thelma Houston. It's incredible.
Doug Sachs.
In fact, I did some direct-to-disc work having heard that. When I was working at Metropolis in West London, we set it up to do some direct-to-discs. I did several there. Great fun. Another one that's really good, which I've mentioned to you before on a previous interview. This is a Stan Ricker cut, Virgil Fox Touch. They had to record this, I think, about 3 o'clock in the morning, because they wouldn't pick up any noise of traffic and stuff. And apparently Stan Ricker said it was the best thing he ever cut. So, I mean, the sound of a pipe organ is just unbelievable, and the bass on that is to die for. It's great, really great. So there you go. There's 2 examples. They're old examples, but yeah, direct to disc. There's something magical about the sound of direct to disc, that the record, the vinyl, captures the sound of the room. The very first one I did was unfortunately, it was done as a 7-inch single, but it was by a Northern Irish artist called Duke Special. And he did a cover of Texarkana Baby, and it sounds great, and it sounds exactly like it's off the record. It sounds exactly the same as it sounded to me in the studio as I heard it, coming up the line into the cutting room. And that's really hard, but it's really hard to do, because that's how all records were made prior to tape coming in, in the sort of early 1950s. And I had to be the person telling the musicians when they could start, because they can't start until I've done the leading groove. It's like, go! Like this, So then someone sort of does this to them to make them start playing. So when Abbey Road started cutting and doing records before tape came in, they had a traffic light system here, and the disc cutting engineer and the lathe were in the control room. And the traffic light system, red meant session live, do not come in, do not disturb, and green meant start playing now, which meant, because you had your 4 minutes once you'd done the leading groove on a 78 RPM record, that they had to kind of get going. So there you go. So yeah, it's a fun thing. It's quite stressful. I did another one here with Ennio Morricone, Sadly, it never came out, which is a shame. And I had a whole load of had an orchestra, Ennio Morricone conducting and me cutting. And he's a vinyl fan, and he was in the country. He wanted to watch. So Quentin Tarantino over my shoulder asking me what's going on. So no pressure there then. So a couple of things did go wrong, but luckily none of them were my fault. It was a mix problem, and a couple of band members made some mistakes. But yeah, that was
working with Quentin Tarantino. I mean, that must have been a little bit.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy, actually. Yeah. And he loves records, and he totally understood, you know. And he was saying, well, what happens if this goes? I said, well, that's like you getting a hair in the gate, you know. You have to scrap it, you've got to start again. So he said, right, you know, because really, it's. Is
he as intense as he's portrayed in interviews, or is he portrays himself in interviews?
No, he's not. But he's really interested and fascinated with vinyl. So you know. I'm always going to talk to people who understand and love the format, because I do too. So that's why I do it.
Okay, now we need to do some half-speed bingo.
Okay, so we're going to go for the first. I've got a Queen album here on the screen.
So what are you asking the folks to put in the comments? They're going to try to guess what the song is?
Trying to guess the song. So I'm only using a little Bluetooth earpiece thing here, so hopefully you can pick it up. I'm going to press go on a song. We'll run, 20 seconds?
20 seconds, and then I put in the comments which song you think it is by Queen.
Which song it is.
Go.
This is an easy one. It's a hit single, so... Okay, anybody got it yet? Let's have a look. Could you hear that okay, Steve?
I heard it loud and clear. We Will
Rock You. No, not We Will Rock You.
Another one bites the dust.
He's got it, yeah. Well done, Michael. 10 out of 10. And Craig's got it as well. There you go. They're flying in now. So, yeah. Another one, but should we do it again? Different song?
Different one, go.
Okay, let's go. I don't know. I'm just going to grab one at random.
So before you start it, this is what this is what you're going to be. So the folks know when you're sitting there, this is what you're hearing all day in your 8 to 12 hour shift.
Yeah, sometimes that's 8 to 12 hours.
How much aspirin do you use?
Well, you have to kind of stop thinking about it as music. You can't think this is music. You have to just go, okay, I'm doing a mechanical recording, and this is the best way to get it from the source that I've got, which is in this case is high res digital, onto the lathe. And you have to just think of it as a mechanical thing. So I'm listening out basically for the, the workstation failing or something going wrong. If you try and listen to it and enjoy it as music, you drive yourself crazy. So you have to just kind of divorce yourself from it. But yeah, I normally, because I don't work every day here, I do 3 days a week. So this week I'm doing Sunday today, back in Tuesday, back in Thursday, and there's another guy in here on the other days. And I often get here between 8 and 8:30 in the morning, and I'm here till midnight. So, and sometimes it's non-stop half speed cutting all day. So you have to really not pay attention as far as its music is concerned. You're paying attention for problems, for things going wrong.
Well, let's do another. And all of us that are watching now knows what a half-speed mastering engineer goes through on a daily basis. So let's live vicariously through you here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one of my colleagues came in he understands that half-speed records sound better, but he would never want to do it. And he came in and it was actually a Japanese noisecore album at half speed. And he just said, "You've got the patience of a saint." And I said, well, it's the job. You just, the records did sound great, actually, better than they ever had done. Anyway, so we're going to round 2 of bingo.
Round 2, go.
Round 2 of bingo.
Get ready, guys.
Another big one. Sing it, Freddie. We are the champs. Yeah, he's got it. There you go. We are the champions. Well done. Yeah, we've got lots of winners there, Steve.
Do you want to do one more?
One more. Okay. Shall I try and find one that's a little bit
sneakier, a little bit sneakier. I mean,
a little bit sneakier.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I've got the greatest hits album on screen here. So the good thing about doing this is that you're not going to get a content match and get this video taken down.
That's right.
No one's going to know what the. Okay. Let's. Here we go. It's got a fairly well-known piano part, but you'd have to be, it's not one of the top.
Well, we have some big Queen viewers here, fans, so they should be able to get it.
We got a winner. 7 Seas of Rye. That's just come up. So well done. Who got that right? The Heapster. There you go. Yeah.
And Rick's V.
Yep.
There it is.
Somebody said I need to hear Flash like this. I'm not sure you do, but seeing as it's a request, let's go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah. There you go. No more requests, eh?
More thunder
than Flash. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, as you can hear, it's not very musical, So, but the weird thing is that when I'm cutting it, you're thinking, oh god, but then you get the test pressings back or the finished records, and you put them on and go, wow, this is interesting. This is good. So that's why I do it, because when you get the record back, it sounds fantastic. Be great to get a remastered copy of the Freddie Mercury opera album with Montserrat Caballé. Yeah, that's been done. And they actually, Queen's people, their engineers, Chris and Justin, because that original album was recorded on a budget. I think Freddie was between record labels at the time. And it was all done with synthesizers and keyboards. There were no real strings on it. And they reorchestrated it and had it played with a proper orchestra. So that's pretty good. And that's out there. I've done that. I don't think I've done the original version, with the keyboard strings and stuff. So that's quite a funny story, because Freddie's first solo album came out, and it wasn't a huge success. It did okay, but it wasn't massive like people expected it to be. And he went up to the record label, Columbia at the time, and said, "Oh, well, I'll do another album." And said, "Yeah, okay, yeah, let's give it another go." And I think I'll do a duets album. Oh, okay, it's going to be opera, and they basically paid him to leave the deal early. So, but the ironic thing was that album, the Barcelona album, was huge. And that was before opera was cool again. He was ahead of the curve on that one. Anyway, I'm digressing. I'm talking about Queen and Freddie rather than what I'm doing. So, any other questions? Yeah, you won't find the direct to disc on Discogs. It never came out. It was the Hateful Eight. It didn't come out. Unfortunately, I don't know why it didn't come out, but it didn't. So there we are. I've got the audio files I recorded at the time, high res, but the lacquers that I cut, God knows what happened to them, but it's gone now. So,
well, we went overtime. I promised an hour. I promised you an hour, and I know you have to go and cut some more. So I really appreciate this time you've taken today, and learned a lot as usual. And I love when you come on the show, and we have to make it more often. I mean, I was saying
18 months is a big gap.
That's too long. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, we've been trying to get this in the diary for about 6 months, haven't we? So you're busy and I'm busy, and it was latter part of last year that we were.
That's right. Well, I think it started last year. I wanted you on just when I think it was around November when the Capitol box came out, the Beatles, right? And I wanted you on, but
but I wasn't part of that anyway.
Nope,
so
no, didn't matter.
I couldn't really have commented on that, but.
Well, you're going to comment when you do your magical mystery tour. That's going to be a great one. The golden ticket.
The golden ticket. Yeah. Let's make that happen.
Okay, we'll make it happen.
I mean, it's nothing to do with me. Well, thank you for everybody's watching and for the nice comments. And hope it's giving you a little sneak behind the curtain of things that go on here.
Love it. Well, thank you, Miles. Everyone, thank you. Have a great Sunday. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.